Okay, we will start. So good morning, everyone. Before I kick it off to our first speaker, I just want to remind everyone, if you have not handed in your contract, please do so this week. You can either email it to me or bring it to the main office. The next item I want to make sure everyone is doing is reaching out to your mentor. That was emailed to you about 2 weeks ago. If you cannot find who your mentor is, simply log into the portal, and on the first page of the portal, on the left side of the screen, in very small writing, it lets you know who your mentor is. You actually also, there is a little function that you can actually hit a button and it will show you kind of a print screen of who you're allocated to, your internship or your senior project, and it will also say there who your mentor is. So if you're having issues finding that out and you've still logged into the portal and you still can't figure that out, you can email me and I can help you, okay? Today, what we're gonna do is we are gonna have 2 speakers, and after the speakers, we should be over around 9:30 for this webinar, and then what we're expecting you to do is create your resume after you listen to our speakers. And then what you're going to do is you're going to email your mentor. That's not your site supervisor at your internship. That is your school assigned mentor, your created resume. Okay. So I am going to kick this off to, hold on, let me just spotlight her before I introduce her. I am going to kick this off to Mrs. Stephanie Schoon. She's the Director, Executive Recruiting and Talent Mobility at the Hartford. So I want to thank her for her time this morning, and she has some fantastic tips for resume building. So I'm going to tip it off to Mrs. Schoon.
Thanks, Ms. Bianco, and thank you everyone for inviting me to speak with you today about resume writing. I thought we'd cover a few things. We're going to start by talking through some tips and tricks for resume writing. So we're a bit of a guide for resume writing. And then we're going to take a look at what a good resume looks like. Then we'll take a peek at what a weak or poor resume looks like. And we'll close by talking about the cover letter that is sent to the employer with your resume. So can we go to the first tips and tricks document?
Sure.
Thanks. So before we get into the details, let's begin by asking ourselves, what is a resume? What does it do? And a resume really is a document that provides an overview of your academic qualifications and your employment experience, as well as your skills, interests, and activities. It provides potential employers with a first impression of who you are and what skills and experience you have to offer. So what does a good resume look like? If we look at this writing guide, there are some really good tips and tricks. Let's start by talking about the format. So the format, it needs to be visually appealing, really clean and simple. It should be one page, evenly spaced, well formatted. That means consistent margins at the top, bottom, and sides of the page, bullets that are the same size and shape and that line up on the page. It needs to have clear and easy to read font. So what's an appropriate size font for a resume? We sometimes see 10-point font, very small, difficult to read. I really love 11-point most of the time, but if you need to fill the page, you might consider going to 12-point font. So the point is, pick something that works with the length and format of your resume. The header at the top of your resume should include your name in bold and or capital letters, whatever you prefer, but make sure it's clear, and your mailing address, your email address, and a phone number. We'll get into more specifics around that when we look at what a good resume looks like. We'll look at a good resume. But you might wonder if you should put your preferred pronouns at the top of your resume next to your name, let's say. And truthfully, recruiters aren't yet seeing preferred pronouns on resumes. We see it on, of course, social media sites such as LinkedIn. We see it on email signatures but we aren't seeing it yet anyway on resumes. Personally, I don't advise you put your personal preferred pronouns on your resume. I'll tell you why. I don't agree with, you should not really put your race, ethnicity, or religion or any such information on your resume. Employers should not be making hiring decisions based on gender, race, ethnicity, or religion. So for that reason, I don't advise putting any of that personal information on your resume. So in terms of content, which is the hardest part and where you should spend the most time really looking at what are you going to share with the employer about you. Of course, you want to start with some information about your educational credentials and your experience, but I also like including at the top an objective. We don't have this on this page, but we'll show it to you on an example of a good resume. So at the top, you might consider putting an objective. What that really speaks to is it speaks to a clear statement of who you are and what you are looking for. So maybe just 2 or 3 sentences. We'll take a look at a couple of examples of that on the next page that we're going to look at, that good resume. But let's look at education. Education is at the underneath your objective, and it should speak to your educational credentials so far. So your New Canaan High School, expected year of graduation, grade level, and any supplementary courses or programs that you want to highlight because they might speak to what you offer for that particular employer. Experience. Experience should be well formatted. That's the biggest part of it, I think. I really strongly encourage you to put the name of the company or organization and your title clearly on the left margin, and the dates that you worked for that organization or volunteered for that organization, I would like that to be right justified. So that really makes it, from a formatting point of view, very legible to the employer. I encourage you to think about tense of the verbs you're using when you describe your experience. Past tense for organizations that you worked for in the past, such as, developed a spreadsheet to track activity, created new content for a website. Speak in the past tense if it's something that happened previously. Also, write in the third person only. No personal pronouns like I developed the spreadsheet. Instead, just say developed the spreadsheet or created content or whatever you did for that particular organization. And I like you to list the experience in reverse chronological order. So most recent experience at the top and your previous experience listed below that. So when you describe your experience and skills, you really want to focus on accomplishments. What did you accomplish for that organization? Use action verbs to describe those accomplishments, like manage the cash register in a busy retail store during peak hours, or educated a new salesperson and served as his mentor or coach. Use those action verbs to describe your accomplishments and your responsibilities. So when we get to activities and interests, which can be equally as important, truthfully, as your experience professionally. And the reason for that is often your activities and interests really show the amount of dedication you have to a particular activity. And employers love to see people that are completely vested and all in. So list your clubs and activities, again, in reverse chronological order, most current at the top. Describe your role or title or involvement, like New Canaan High School band saxophonist, 2018 to 2020, or some such description. And use that consistent formatting that I'm encouraging you to use in the experience section. Similarly, at the bottom, List your skills, computer skills, language skills. I encourage you to be brief and to the point, but be specific. So say, you know, basic French or fluent Spanish, or list your advanced Excel skills, or 3+ years of experience in web design. Whatever it may be, but be specific and to the point. It's amazing what you can put on one page if you really wordsmith it carefully. So really, in terms of tips and tricks, the bottom line is resumes should be really one page, clear and simple format. Use action words to highlight your accomplishments. And most important of all, proofread. Proofread to ensure there's no abbreviations, no spelling mistakes, no grammatical errors. Get a friend, a family member, a teacher to critique and proofread with you. And I really encourage everybody, no matter what level of experience they have, to do that. I just saw a resume last week, or somebody submitted a resume last week for a very senior role, and there were grammatical and spelling errors on it, and the interview feedback came back on that person, and that was the one thing that was a real big problem for most people, that somebody would submit something that wasn't professional, polished, and clearly hadn't been proofread. So can we flip to the next page?
Sure.
Thanks.
Let's see here.
Okay. This is a sample of a very strong resume. Now, it doesn't include specific information about this person or it's not specific to an individual, but it gives you a template to use when you develop your resume. So let's look at it. First, the name is in bold and caps and centered at the top of the page. There's an email address, a phone number, and a mailing address. Now, you don't have to submit a mailing address. In fact, a lot of resumes coming to us these days don't actually have a mailing address. So I'll leave that one up to you, but certainly you need your contact information. In other words, your email address and your phone number. And remember, if you have a Gmail address and you have a little icon of your favorite sports team or cartoon character, that probably isn't appropriate in these circumstances on a resume. So I would encourage you to take that off. So here we see the objective at the top of the page, and I gave you a sample objective. You know, this objective really describes who you are and what you're seeking, and it does it in a very succinct way. So a highly motivated student interested in media and communications, open to opportunities that will provide me with more exposure in these fields. Or I wrote another one for you to consider. A well-rounded student with a passion for history and the arts, looking for an opportunity with a playhouse, art center, museum, or comparable organization. Just write what speaks to you. It does require some thought, a couple of sentences, maybe 3 sentences at most, but really highlight who you are and what you're looking for, where your passion, where your interest is, what skills you might have, and what you would love to do. And that is often a really great thing for an employer to look at, sort of to understand who you consider yourself to be and who you want to be. So then we look at education, and as I said to you just a minute ago, describe your current level and any courses or supplementary programs that you've taken to further your education. That's fairly straightforward, I would say. Experience, and you know, we have some fictitious organizations. As I mentioned to you previously, the formatting of resumes is so important. Notice here that I've used caps and bold to highlight the different sections of the resume. I've also used bold to highlight the organizations that this individual's worked for. And I've put Jones Media, New Canaan, Connecticut. Often it's helpful just to see where the location of the business is. And as I mentioned, I've left justified the names of the companies and the titles that the individuals had, and I've right justified the actual dates that he or she worked for the organization. So what we see here is Jones Media. It was an internship, and I'm encouraging you to describe responsibilities, and I should have written perhaps accomplishments starting with an action verb, and explain what you did and how you got the results. And use this formula to create a sentence. Talk about the task, the action, and the result. So I'll give you an example. Developed a spreadsheet to track sales of homemade granola sold on the weekends, which resulted in hiring another helper, increased weekend production and sales by 25%. So it's a homemade granola business, let's say, but you've created a spreadsheet to track the sales, and it's resulted in hiring someone to help you provide more sales or more inventory and therefore increase sales. So something such as that. Think of that formula. It doesn't always work, but it is a good guideline to use. So we've got a couple of examples of different pieces of work this individual has done, different internships. Then we go down to activities. If we look at activities, make sure you carry on with the same formatting as with experience and use the same formula. In that, explain what you did, how you did it, demonstrate the value and benefits and contributions you made as, let's say, a member of the band or a member of the football team, whatever it may be that you participated in, or in drama, whatever it may be. And then to the bottom of the page where we look at skills and we see, there are different skills noted that could be potentially skills that you have to offer. I would encourage you, as I said before, to be specific, like basic French, fluent in Spanish, or advanced Excel skills, whatever it may be that you want to highlight. So I hope that good resume really provides a bit of a template for you to use when you develop your resume. Let's flip to the next page and take a quick peek at a poorly formatted resume. And this particular one has almost no content, as you'll notice. There's no detail. Some resumes that we see have way too much detail. You can barely sort your way through the detail. They're very uninviting. This one's not particularly inviting either because it doesn't really speak to the actual accomplishments, responsibilities, and results that this individual achieved as a delivery person for Randolph Deli in New Canaan. So there are many things that a delivery person might achieve and many different skills and experience that he or she may gain through this role, such as, organizational skills, customer relationship management skills, time management skills. All those things could be highlighted here. And so it really is a big miss not to talk to or speak to those various skills and accomplishments that you achieved, even though the role may seem in some people's eyes a simple role. As you well know, these jobs as delivery person or a snack bar worker can be very complex at times and very demanding. So really think through the job and how you were challenged and what you were able to achieve in order to really put this down on paper. These are the types of skills that employers really want to understand. And really, you have a lot to offer if you've done these roles successfully. Similarly, under activities, as anybody on the yearbook staff knows, there's a great deal of demand of those jobs. Those jobs are very demanding. So speak to the skills and experiences that you gained through your various activities and interests. Be specific. Be specific. Keep it to one page, but be specific. And as I mentioned before, you can't proofread too many times. So make sure you really take a good hard look at your resume. Make sure it reflects who you really want it to or reflects who you really want to be and how you want to present yourself to an employer. So flipping to the last page that we have to present, is we're going to speak to the cover letter. And we have a sample cover letter here, which is to be emailed with your resume to a potential employer. A strong resume should speak to your skills, experience, and accomplishment, and should highlight your objectives clearly and succinctly. So if it does that, if you have a strong resume, you really don't need a long cover letter. You shouldn't need one. This one is perhaps a little long. I think 3 to 5 sentences and 2 to 3 bullet points should cover it. It does give you, the cover letter, what it does do, it gives you a chance to connect your skills to the specific employer's needs. So that's what it does do. The resume might be more generic and suitable for many different types of employers. The cover letter allows you to really connect who you are with that specific employer. So you can elaborate on a specific skill or experience that's relevant to them. So keep that in mind when you write your cover letter, and really think about what that particular employer would be interested in hearing about from you. So cover letter emails should begin with a very respectful salutation. Hey, Mr. Sanchez, or something comparable would not be suitable. It should be good morning, Mr. Sanchez, or good afternoon, Mr. Sanchez, or even hello, Mr. Sanchez. We see less of dear Mr. Sanchez, but it's still used occasionally, and it is certainly very respectful. So pick something that is appropriate, that you feel comfortable with as the writer of this particular email. Similarly, your cover letter or cover email should end respectfully. It's always appropriate to say, as it does here on this page, thank you for your time and consideration, and do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Love that. And you can sign off by saying sincerely. Sincerely is always safe, works well in most circumstances or all circumstances. Thank you is also appropriate. And if you have another salutation or ending, perhaps some people use best, but certainly something there should be there. And just keep in mind, make sure you're respectful. And also, I just wanted to close by saying that, just a reminder, just really keep it simple, keep your formatting clean and crisp, make sure it visually it presents very well, and really think about using those action verbs to describe your accomplishments and your experience. That cover letter, it can be short, but it should reflect what you're looking for at that particular employer. And one final comment just to leave you with is on the topic of interviewing, please make sure when you video interview with an employer, you are appropriately situated to participate in that video interview. That means that you shouldn't be in bed or lounging on a couch or slouched in a chair. Don't position yourself in a messy room. Make sure your surroundings create a positive impression. You may be in your bedroom, but make sure that the visible parts of the room are neat and tidy and appropriately lit. So I just leave you with that thought, that make sure that your resume, your surroundings, your attire, everything, the way you present creates a positive first impression. And I have every confidence that your future employers will be well impressed. So all the best with your internships, and have a lot of fun with it.
Great. Thank you so much, Mrs. Schoon. Does anyone have any questions for her that you could put in chat, and I will read them? Yes, we're aware that it should be a max of 500. Unfortunately, we were told that it is now.
It has been raised.
Okay. So if anyone missed anything, we are recording and I can send out the portion that was missed, but I will let people in as they're joining. Okay. And if you're looking, I know someone needed a link. I will email the link to the portal after this. Okay. Do you need to submit a cover letter to your mentor? No, just your resume, please.
Quick question. In terms of, a resume being written now by a high school senior, when you talk about education, should you or should you not include GPA?
Our college relations team would have a very crisp answer for you. I don't think it's necessary. If you want to, I think you can include your GPA, but I don't think it's necessary by any means.
Okay.
I can get you a better answer if I ask the college relations team.
Okay.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have any further questions? Again, you do not need to submit a cover letter to your mentor, just the resume. Okay. All right. Hold on, wait, there's one more. Is there a way to template? Which should we use a way to format? So what I sent this morning in your email, in your handbook, you have actually what Mrs. Schoon was referring to. You have guidelines, you have a bad resume and a good resume. So if you want, you can use that as a template when you're creating your resume today. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If you're doing a senior project, you're still putting together a resume today. This is a resume exercise for everyone. Okay, we're expecting everyone to be putting together a resume today. Okay. All right. Mrs. Schoon, if someone's never had a job or anything like that, what are some good ideas that they could put? Maybe some volunteer work? Do you have any suggestions?
Absolutely. Those activities, volunteer commitments, anything that you've pursued in terms of outside interests would be, or interests at school, would be absolutely appropriate to put on the resume.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. And if anyone has any other questions later on, feel free to email me. I'll make sure we answer your questions. I want to thank Mrs. Schoon for her time this morning. With that being said, we will say goodbye to Mrs. Schoon, and I'm going to introduce Mrs. Darlene Pianka. Mrs. Darlene Pianka is the Director of HR, and she's going to talk to us about sexual harassment. So let me just spotlight Mrs. Pianka. There she is. Great.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Darlene Pianka. I am the Director of Human Resources for the New Canaan Public Schools. So I have the honor of doing all of the final hiring in the school district. And let me just say to any one of you who at some point in the future may be interested in becoming a teacher, that I have in fact interviewed and hired New Canaan High School graduates to come back and actually be teachers in our school district. And that is a wonderful thing. So perhaps some of you will have the calling to become a teacher, and this is a wonderful place to work. I'd like to start off by thanking so much Mr. Rothman and Ms. Bianco for inviting me. I'm really excited that all of you pretty soon will be having the opportunity to participate in the senior internship program, which is an incomparable program and something that's offered to all of you through our school district at New Canaan High School that really has so much meaning for all of you in terms of going out into the world of work. And it is a wonderful resource to all of you. So I would recommend and highly suggest that you really fully participate in all of this. And what you just listened to in terms of the resume information is so, so valuable. And the examples that you were given are a wonderful template. So, and I'm sure that this is true in a variety of skill areas that you're going to be exposed to. You'll be learning a number of new skills over the course of this internship that are related to the world of work, that are really very important, that you probably have been exposed to in other experiences like volunteering or a job that you may have had. But you should really take this experience seriously and put your all into it. It is a broader experience for you in terms of preparing you to even start really seriously thinking about the world of work. And you can't be prepared enough for that. So this is just a wonderful opportunity for all of you. Take full advantage of that. Today, I wanted to address the issue of sexual harassment in the workplace. You might be aware that there are laws around this issue that require training for staff in every company that you'll be working in the interest of really providing for a comfortable and safe work environment for all of the people that are working in that environment, which is really very important. I wanted to start by calling your attention to your handbook, especially pages 3 and 4. So on page 3 of your handbook, there is some information that Ms. Bianco has prepared for you that takes you through the definition and the categories of sexual harassment, along with some really good examples at the bottom of what exactly it is we're talking about behaviorally in the workplace. And I want to take you through this quickly. So if we could just scroll back up to the top. Just to give you an example of what the true definition of sexual harassment is, you can read that first sentence. It means any unwelcome sexual advances or requests for sexual favors or other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature in the workplace. When, and then there are the 3 qualifying characteristics there, which I won't read all of them. You have this as a reference in your handbook, except to say in the first one, it's really talking about when those behaviors that are defined in the definition above are made as a term or a condition of an individual's employment. So in other words, if something is said that is based on the fact that, if you want to continue to be employed, or a statement like that is included in the suggestion. The second one really has to do with the basis for any employment decisions that affect a person. So, similarly to number 1, maybe that advancement that you were looking for may not be possible, would be an example. And in the third qualifying comment, when those behaviors are creating an intimidating or hostile or offensive work environment. Those are all the trigger phrases that are used publicly. If you've seen anything on the news about people being made to feel uncomfortable based on inappropriate actions that are being taken toward them, that really result in an offensive work environment. The definition for sexual harassment is there for you to read. Basically, it says that everybody has the right to work in an environment that's free from all forms of discrimination and harassment. So we all deserve to be in an environment in which we're treated with respect in an appropriate manner. Below that, 2 major types of sexual harassment. One is based on the issue of power, the person having power over you, and what's called a this for that comment or suggestion. So a favor for, whatever they're offering you in terms of an employment um, favor. And then the other, which clearly, and it says here is the most common, is a hostile work environment that's created. Sexual harassment falls into 3 categories, so they're listed there. They can either be verbal or written or any kind of picture, or something that is physically suggestive. So all of those 3 areas, or any of those 3 areas. Some examples of sexual harassment, just so that you'll know exactly what we're talking about, are given here. There are a variety of them. I won't go through all of them except to say, you know, any inappropriate conversation, physical touching, display of any kind of pictures or something in writing that's suggestive, that is inappropriate. And any kind of threats or suggestions that are based in any kind of sexual advances and inappropriate behavior. The other issue that I should mention is the bullet that's close to the end, insinuations that, as I mentioned earlier, if someone refuses to submit to something that's inappropriate, that it will adversely affect the person's professional life, either their pay, their employment, their opportunities to advance, or any other employment condition. And on page 4, the outline for the process for you, should there be moving forward in your internships, an uncomfortable experience for you now that you have page 3 as a reference sheet and hopefully a basic understanding of what this concept entails. If you feel uncomfortable in your internship, you know, what is the plan that's laid out for you in terms of what you should do? Hopefully this will never happen to you, but clearly you need to be aware of the fact that it can, and what it is, understand what it is. And this page 4 is about what to do. And so Mr. Rothman and Ms. Bianco have defined the process here for you. You are to leave your internship as quickly as you can, go to the high school directly, and if you're asked why you're leaving, let them know that you have a meeting at the high school. Once you get to the high school, they are asking that you speak to either the 2 of them, Ms. Bianco or Mr. Rothman, or any other guidance counselor that you feel comfortable speaking with, to share your concerns and the information around, you know, why you have the concerns that you do. Call your parent or your guardian, and I would think that if you've done number 2, that adult will be helping you to make that call. And not to worry, if you're in an environment in which you feel uncomfortable, another internship experience will be found for you. And the adults who are in charge will really take a look at investigating the situation at your prior internship, and moving that forward as need be in terms of any kind of process. So hopefully you now have a good understanding of the definition and what the details are around this issue that, again, is so important for you to be aware of moving out into the workplace. Ms. Bianco has prepared a little video that we want to take a look at next that gives us some more good information on this topic.
Give me 1 second. I just have to.
So while that's being set up, this video is a really good typical example of everything that we just talked about, that are scenarios in the workplace that show you visually what it is that we just talked about as they're happening.
Can everyone hear that video?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Give me 1 second. I just have to share the. Give me 1 moment, everybody. There we go. Got it. All right.
The law defines sexual harassment as unwelcome verbal, visual, or physical conduct of a sexual nature that is severe or pervasive and affects working conditions or creates a hostile work environment. Conduct of a sexual nature is broken into 3 parts: verbal, visual, and physical. Verbal includes comments about clothing, a person's body, sexual or gender-based jokes or remarks, requesting sexual favors or repeatedly asking a person out, sexual innuendos, threats, spreading rumors about a person's personal or sexual life, or foul and obscene language. Visual includes posters, drawings, pictures, screensavers, cartoons, emails, or text of a sexual nature. Physical includes assault, impeding or blocking movement, inappropriate touching such as kissing, hugging, patting, stroking, or rubbing, sexual gesturing, or even leering or staring. There are 2 categories of sexual harassment. The first is quid pro quo, which literally means this for that. It occurs when a boss uses job rewards such as raises or promotions or punishment such as demotions or firing to force employees into a sexual relationship or sexual act. The second is hostile environment, which is defined as conduct that unreasonably interferes with work performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. For example, it may be sexual harassment if repeated sexual comments make someone so uncomfortable that their work performance suffers, or they decline professional opportunities because it will put them in contact with the harasser. In both types of harassment, employees must prove that the conduct was offensive to someone, not necessarily the intended victim of the harassment. Here's an example. Say a male employee tells a dirty joke to a female coworker. She thinks it's funny, but a second woman passing by finds it offensive. That joke could contribute to a hostile environment claim simply because someone finds it offensive. There are 2 conditions that determine liability for employers in cases of hostile environment sexual harassment. The employer knew or should have known about the harassment, and the employer failed to take appropriate corrective action. Having a training program as well as a clear procedure for reporting harassment claims can shield employers from expensive lawsuits.
Well, hey there.
Hi, how are you?
Doing much better now. Got my package for you here.
Thank you very much.
I can just get a signature on there.
Sure thing.
If you want to add your phone number on there this time, I wouldn't mind.
You asked me that last week and the answer's still no.
Well, I mean, can I get a bottle of water or something like
Yeah,
that?
sure. Hold on 1 second. Let me grab it for you.
Hate to see you go, but I'd love to watch you leave. Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, Melissa.
Hey,
I didn't know you were working out today.
Of course I am. I'm going on vacation.
You getting ready for the Aruba trip?
I am. Gotta get that body
Awesome.
in
How many
shape.
more days until you guys leave?
Oh, I think it's a couple weeks.
A couple weeks?
Yeah.
Looking good. Keep it going.
Hey, what the heck, dude?
I mean, you asked for it wearing that, right?
Alright, so we should be good then for our meeting on Tuesday.
Alright, sounds good.
Alright, dude, Chris, come here for a second.
What you got?
This is the new chick, Shelby.
Whoa! Look at that! Wow!
You call that?
Yes, man. That's what I'm talking about right there, man. Woo! Wow, when did they take that picture?
I think it was from like their trip. They took a
Man, look at that. Wow,
Yeah.
that's unbelievable there.
Hey Ash, how are you?
Good. Hey, how are you doing?
Good. What are you doing?
Oh, just working away.
Nice. I wanted to compliment you. Your skirt is so cute. Where'd you get it?
Oh, thanks. I actually got it at a sale at New York and Company.
Stab, I think I just saw it. 3 free or something like that.
Yeah, isn't that ridiculous?
I know. I'm going this weekend. I
Best
can't
sale
wait.
ever.
But I wanted to ask you, what are you doing tonight?
I don't think I really have any plans. Probably just head home.
Do you want to go grab a drink?
Probably not. I'm probably just gonna blaze low tonight. Just have some dinner.
You
know.
sure? No wine or martini or anything like that? What's your drink of choice?
I'm more of a whiskey girl, but you know, I choose not to drink during the week.
Not even tonight.
No, I don't think my husband would be too happy about
Oh, I
that.
didn't even know you were married.
Oh yeah. 6 months in the making. No.
Nice. Congrats.
So, well, I hope you have fun with that drink. I'm gonna get back to work.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Ash.
Hey.
Looking good.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, it's great in that skirt.
Appreciate it.
How about that drink tonight?
I'm really not interested, but thanks.
No?
Not really. I got a lot to do, but thanks again.
All right.
So just to kind of reiterate what was embellished in that video, it's really important moving forward for you as students in the workplace, on a college campus, actually wherever you are, to be really aware of your behaviors as they relate to what you learned today. Really important professionally to always be appropriate, to always think about what you say, your actions, and anything in those two areas that could be interpreted in a way by other people that makes them feel uncomfortable. Because really that's what this is all about. It's about an environment in which people feel safe, comfortable, and not intimidated. And it's all really about basic respect for one another. So hopefully moving forward and going out into the world, you'll be very aware of this. And I'm sure that you're all good people and understand the importance of this without the discussion we had this morning, but underscoring in terms of future employment how important this topic is. I wish you the best in your internships. I'm excited for all of you. As I have said earlier, make the best of it because it is a wonderful experience that's being provided for you that I don't know that every high school age student has. If there are any questions at this point, I'm happy to entertain them for you.
Okay. Let's see. I do not see any questions.
Awesome.
All right. So thank you, Mrs. Pianka, so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Actually, if you don't mind, I have a question really quickly.
Sure.
So, I remember in the email it said that we're going to be working on the resume from 9:30 to 10:30. Do we have to complete it and send it within that allotted hour?
We are expecting you to complete it today, and if you can, for whatever reason, have it done by tomorrow, okay? And send it to your mentor by tomorrow. Before we get off here, I want to thank Mrs. Pianka, but also Mr. Rothman has a few words for everyone. So thank you so much, Mrs. Pianka, for your time.
My pleasure.
Okay, thank you. And I'll make Mr. Rothman in the spotlight. Here we go.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Again, folks, there's a lot of information, but it's important stuff that you really just need to be aware of, not just, as Mrs. Pianka said, not just in terms of the workplace, but also in terms of these are the expectations for life on a college campus as well. Keep in mind that it really is more about how things are perceived, not necessarily how you mean them. So, it's not okay to say, well, I meant it as a joke. Just really, really keep in mind that it's really about being sensitive to others and, being sensitive also to making sure that other people are not made uncomfortable. You wouldn't want it done to you, so just keep that in mind. Okay, here's the official business. At this point, we've got most of the senior class involved in this, either as a project or as an internship. At this point, the only reason that someone would be pulled from the program is if there is a danger of not graduating. So, keep in mind that grades matter not just in terms of earning credit towards graduation, but if based on third quarter grades in a course you need to graduate, and it may not just be civics and English, please make sure that you're in a position to graduate. The only time that we've ever pulled someone from the program at this point is if they were not passing these classes. So please keep that in mind. If you have any other questions about anything having to do with the internship program, the projects that you're doing, anything from today's session, see me or Mrs. Bianco. And that's really it. But thank you for participating. Heather, anything else?
The only thing, I saw one question. So by tomorrow, you will, someone asked how to submit the resume. You're going to email it to your mentor. Again, your mentor is not your site supervisor. It is the mentor that it was assigned to you, whether you're doing a senior project or an internship. After the meeting today, what I'll do is if you've lost the link to the portal and you don't know who your mentor is, I will send you the link to the portal and how to figure out what your username and password is. All right, so I'll do that shortly. Is there any other questions that we can answer? And the other thing, I apologize, this was supposed to be set at a max of 500. So what we'll do is we will send out a recording or a link to the recording. So if anyone that missed it will be able to view it, okay? Do you have to put your actual phone number and address on the resume? Mrs. Schoon, what she said is you do not have to put your actual address on the resume. Usually when you should have your phone number at least on the resume for a real resume, that way they can get in contact with you and an email. Right. But for this activity, if you're uncomfortable putting your actual phone number on the resume, you don't have to, but you do have to put some sort of contact information, but no, you do not have to put your home address on a resume anymore. It's usually an email and a phone number. Any other questions?
Yeah, it was after.
One last thing. Is there going to be an email quickly reviewing everything that we went over today?
Yes, you received that email this morning, actually, around 7:30. So it's in the handbook that I sent. It was through the portal. So in the handbook, everything that you saw on the screen today is in that handbook. And that email, again, is not from me, but from the portal. So you'll see that this morning. You got around 7:30. You should have 7:30, 7:50. Any other questions? Okay. If anyone else, you can always email me or call me. I will be here today. I hope everyone has a great day. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You.
Bye.
Thank you.